Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Right. I'm Egberto, Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, folks. Welcome aboard. Patrick Lavelle, Truth Bombs, the Con. Melanie Keelan from Barcelona, Spain. Patrick Lavelle, I think from Colorado. E2247 from all over. We also have Michael Rudnin from Brooklyn, New York. And if I miss anybody, forgive me. From Michael Rudnin, The Hill, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I'm not here to sugarcoat what we all are about to collectively experience, but I think that we can do to prepare is build community. Our main project is to unite in the working class in the country against a fascist agenda, period. She said, we have had an enormous setback in this election because the fascists won a lot of working class support, which has happened before in history. She cited Republican majorities in both the Congress along with the holding the White House as a means to spur federal abortion ban, mass deportation, and removal of vaccines. When Trump, also from Michael Rudden, when Trump and the Republicans say they are going to do horrible SHIT to people they either outright hate or don't care about, believe them. An end to the renewable subsidies leading to global meltdown, mass deportation with concentration camps. Nobody ever thinks. Nobody ever thinks. I lost my trend. The phone started to ring. An end to renewable subsidies leading to global meltdown, mass deportations with concentration camps. Nobody ever thinks of logistics. Harsh cuts to social safety net and pain for pretty much everyone other than the top 1%. All of the guardrails that prevented Trump the first time will be gone under the second Trump presidency, and our nation will go quickly. Hey, guys, I have to take care of something real quickly. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and try to play the first video of the day, which is basically what I had this morning at KPFT. It is a very important piece that I want to play. So let's go ahead and get that started right this minute. Hold on. There we go. I think I got her loaded, got her cocked and ready to go. You know, in the mornings I get up, I do my spinning, and after I do my spinning, I get in the studio probably around, I don't know, maybe around 5:20 or so by the time I'm done doing all of that. And I get a chance to watch a lot of the news in the morning and take a look at a few papers. And I like to start with Morning Joe. I like Morning Joe. I like Mika Brzezinski, her style of journalism. And I think of all the people that are talking, the guys and everybody else that comes there, I think she's the one that really gets it the most. Now, I am very upset at the spin the media is using right now for what many would call a shellacking in this last election. Of course, it's not really a shellacking, right? I mean, if you don't call what Biden did in 2020 a shellacking, you can't call this a shellacking because, again, it was much more in 2020. That was a much broader win for Biden in 2020. If you take a look at the number of people that voted, if you take a look at, there's so much that if you took a look at, you'll say, wait a minute, what we see here for this election is a trickle. Let me first categorically say Donald Trump won this election. Donald Trump won this election decisively, as decisive as an election in the United States could be. Kamala could have won this election with a few turnaround, a 1% turnaround in the 3 battleground states, but she would have won it without the popular vote based on the current trends. Okay, which is not what we stand for. We stand for outright winning an election, and Brother Trump won this election. That said, one should explain, or one should be willing to ask the real question, why did he win? And the exit polls do a lot to tell you why he won. And why he won was a relentless disinformation that did not start during the election cycle. The disinformation started from the time
he left, well, I mean, he was a constancy of disinformation since the 2000s decades, the 2000s, when he started to put his feet into running for the election. He was always a bastion of disinformation. And the reason he became into power is he wasn't scared to get on TV. He wasn't scared to challenge anyone and look into their eyes and lie, ill-inform, misinform, disinform, and do all of it. He did that wholeheartedly. And unfortunately, the mainstream media has never been equipped to challenge that type of politician, because what they believe in, as they learn in the schools of journalism, if you're not doing investigative journalism, which means you are going out not to simply pull out on a subject. If you're doing standard journalism where you're interviewing folks, you bring them on, you let them say their piece, you ask them a few questions to challenge your piece, get their response, but you're not fighting them, etc. And you get the other side story, and you give you give Americans the impression that you're being impartial, that you're being balanced. That is old style journalism that Donald Trump turned on its ear to win elections. And the mainstream media has been inept, completely inept at dealing with that. Let's go ahead and start from how Donald Trump came into power as he attacked Obama. When he attacked Obama with the birth certificate, the idea was to have people have doubts about Obama for a second term or even first term, right? That's what the birther movement was all about, to have people doubt Obama. And how did he do it? With the birther movement. Did anybody doubt who Obama's mother was? This white woman from Kansas. That was his mother. The birther movement should have never gotten traction, should have never existed if the mainstream media did its job and just said, so what if Obama was born in Kenya? So what if Obama was born in Indonesia? They had all kind of genesis to what Obama's genesis was. Where was he born? It didn't matter where Obama was born, because he would have been considered a natural born citizen because of who his mother was. Just like John McCain was born in the exact same hospital that I was born in, Cocosolo in Panama on the Canal Zone. While McCain is a natural born citizen because he had an American parent, I was a natural born Panamanian because my parents were Panamanians born in Panama. So the story should have ended right there. But the mainstream media, in its ineptitude, every time, Donald Trump came and asked about papers, they gave it traction. And we can go over policy after policy. During the Obamacare debate, where we were trying to get good health care for everyone, they allowed Sarah Palin's throw your mother off the cliff or death panels to get traction. How do you make those things get traction when what they were called death panels or things insurance companies have done from their existence, private insurance companies with actuarial tables and much more? But again, failure of the mainstream media. Now Donald Trump comes and he lies about having had a great economy himself. The mainstream media didn't say that. Looking at the way of the Obama economy was left for Donald Trump, or also they didn't point out the recovery that had to occur under the Obama administration, again, because another Republican came in and crashed the economy. Let's remember, Bush 1 came in, crashed the economy. Clinton cleaned it up with a balanced budget. I write all of this in my book. It's and again, this is not a plug. This is a fact that people need to understand. Where I wrote this book called As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. I went through the whole sequence of presidents. Clinton came in, saved the economy, balanced the budget. from Bush number one. Lies in the media allowed, first of all, a whole plethora of lies. Bush 2 didn't win the election, but still he came in, the economy again with the deregulation of the banking sector, not separating the investment banks from the regular banks and creating derivative. There's a long story to that. But again, crash the economy. Obama comes in. They repair the economy. Through lies and misinformation, again, Trump gets in the first time, crashes the economy again, caused again by his mismanagement of COVID, a screwed up supply chain created by the types of deregulation, the types of policies that did even more offshoring, killed the economy, killed people with a pandemic that shouldn't have been killed, lost power. Here comes Biden, comes in miraculously. And it's not him doing it, but miraculously, completely reversed the economy without and as inflation came up because of the greed of corporations, because of supply chains that they screwed up, brought down inflation without a recession, something called a soft landing, something we've always begged for and were never, ever able to attain. But using massive Keynesian economics, we get Biden to have an economy that's recovered. Yes, a lot of people remained in pain, but that is recessive pain from the fallacy from what the Trump administration did in the way they handled the economic system. Not reported. So Trump continues with the lies about the genesis of your problem is because of Haitians eating cats and dogs. The genesis of your problems is because of inflation that was caused by the spending of the Biden administration. The cause of inflation is the cause of everything was blamed on the policies that actually rebuilt the economy. And you know how we know that for a fact? The number one economy in the world. We are not having the 36% inflation certain European countries are having. We are not having the collapse of the economy that's going on in Germany right now. We are not having the big problems that we are having all over Europe. In fact, even the progressive, right? The liberal Wall Street Journal. Nope, the Wall Street Journal ain't liberal. The Wall Street Journal is conservative. And they said, whoever inherits this economy is getting a hell of an economy. Wall Street Journal. In other words, if you're inheriting the Biden's economy, you're inheriting a hell of an economy. Yet, if you go ahead and take a look at the information most Americans are getting, including the ones that are in dire straits right now, the information that they're getting is that this was done to you by Biden because of their support for immigrants, of their support for trans, all these other things metastasizing in the minds of Americans, Why? Because they were unchallenged, because our elitist consultants for the left that wouldn't know a middle class person in their life, didn't know how these middle class people got their information, didn't know how to speak to these middle class people, didn't know how to speak to our brothers and sisters in rural America, didn't know to speak to the Latino guy in the middle of the country, didn't know how to do that. Kamala Harris had over $1 billion to spend. Did bloggers get any of the money? The ones that are closest to the people? No. Did a politics done right get donations from different organizations to say, educate people? No. The monies went directly to all these $10,000 a day consultants that look at numbers and told people how to do things, but had no interaction with actual human beings, had no interaction with people who knew. And now that Donald Trump has won again, we have the punditry, the same inept mainstream media punditry saying how great a win Donald Trump had because the Democrats just didn't understand the people and Trump understood the people. No, Trump made the people. Trump understood one thing that's important. If you're in a vacuum, just about anything can fill that vacuum. If I have a vacuum tube and I bust it on Mars, it will be filled with carbon dioxide. If I bust it on America, on Earth, it will be filled with nitrogen and oxygen and rare gases. A vacuum is filled with whatever is there to fill it. And if you have ineptitude and lies, it will be filled with lies. Yesterday, Robinson on Joe Scarborough's show said, when I spoke to people in Pennsylvania, the one thing that hit me was how ill-informed they were. The things that they said bore no resemblance to reality, but they believed it to their core because they heard it over and over and over again. And if you take a look at Donald Trump's modus operandi, it is to repeat his lies over and over and over again. So much so that the mainstream media gets tired of challenging it, but do not refute it. And that is what they're doing again. Now they are talking about all these big changes that the Democratic Party needs to make. Maybe they need to start thinking about more tax cuts. Maybe they need to start thinking about not moving to the left and providing the services. But then again, the mainstream media fails to realize that when asked the questions as far as what all these people that voted for Donald Trump voted for, when asked, do you want family leave? 80% says yes. Do you want to have access to medical care paid for by all or tax basis, Medicare for all? 70-something% of the people say yes. You ask them all the things that progressives ask. You don't tell them these are progressive values. You ask them if you want these policies. They say yes. They're not saying let's jump to tax cut for billionaires. They're not saying let's pollute the water. They're not saying let's unregulate businesses so that they can do as they please. That is not what they're asking for. They're asking for a better life. They're saying, give me a life. Give me a life where I can be happy. And the pundits on TV, the millionaires on TV are saying, I guess Trump got the people. Trump understood the people. If your vote is based on a lie that you believe, is the other party faulty with their policies, or is the other party faulty with how they get information to you? And complicit with that, a incompetent, derelict mainstream media. And that is the answer. An incompetent, derelict media that assumes you, the people, are stupid. And they assume that because they don't think that if they explained things to you as they are throughout your busy day, that you will understand. And that is the fight. That is the fight that anybody calling themselves a progressive, that is the fight that anybody calling themselves an activist must go through. The punditry in America is shot, filled with elitists who wouldn't know a poor person or a middle-class person if they met them. I want to talk to my rural brothers and sisters that were so ill-informed. I want to talk to all my people who were completely ill-informed and made a decision that will throw us so backwards. Not the rich folks. The rich folks are going to do well. The upper 10% are going to do great. The top 20% are going to tread water and do fine. They won't move in status. But brothers, and most of the people who voted for this guy, their life is going to change. They don't know it yet, but their life is going to change.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks.
All right, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. This morning I got up, and after doing my spinning, I just had to give the rant. But anyway, folks, hey, you can go ahead and call me now, Patrick. We can go ahead and take that now. But while Patrick is calling, I want everybody to know that the resistance is on. I want you to understand that while we know that things are not in the right spot right now, we are preparing the resistance. There's a whole lot of calls going on. I was on I didn't get on because it was too late by the time they got overloaded and I couldn't get there. Brother Patrick Lavelle, what's going on, my brother? Patrick, are you there? It says bad connection. Why do we say bad connection? All right.
I
Patrick,
can hear you, friend.
Okay, great. Well, I couldn't hear you before. Can you hear me now?
I can. Hello. How are you, Egberto?
All right, I'm doing fine. Talk to me, my friend. Talk to me. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So, just obviously, Roseanne asked me to give you a call. I was kind of catching the back end of it, but yeah, it's been a while since we've talked, and a lot of crazy things have happened. I'm sure you're addressing all of the obvious things that people need to be kind of wrapping their heads around. I'm curious where you begin and end at this stage of the game, because I didn't get the chance to listen to the whole thing, but I'm here for you, man. I got the goods whenever you're ready to go.
Well, as it turns out, you're like, what's her name? Marianne was on, and she was leaving some comments, and I thought it was you, and I was like, well, call in and make the point. Tell us what's the big issues that we're going to be up front from a financial and economic perspective, having a Donald Trump, the criminal, now in charge of our economy.
Well, Egberto, it's just the result of the last, basically 24 years. I mean, what is today has been set in motion for probably the last 30 or 40 years. So, you know that, I know that. The difference is that I've got all the details of why that is, and nobody else seems to understand how it works.
Well, is it? Hold on. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Patrick. Patrick, let me ask you this. Is it that you have the goods, which you do, and nobody understand it pretty much, or is it that they don't want to? Those in the know don't want to, and try by all means necessary to prevent it from being exposed.
Well, that's exactly right, Egberto. So, unfortunately, look, I'm gonna, because I don't really have a whole frame of reference and context to where you began your conversation today and what how I'm going to be shoehorned in here. But I want to start from what I know based on where you are, because Houston, Texas is a very big, big, big piece of the puzzle. Is it okay if I kind of give you my wax on about my experience? Because I am a Texan and I'm from Houston and I know Houston. Can I start there?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so anybody who listens, and I've been listening to Egberto for quite a while, and I love his energy, his passion, his understanding, his thought process, where he's coming from, and particularly where he is. And, what that means. And Texas has progressively become more conservative over the course of the last 30 years. And, obviously we saw, for those of us who were hopeful that Colin Allred would make a big push against Senator Ted Cruz, who I like to affectionately call Trenchcoat Ted, because he's such a freak show. But, and to some degree, particularly off the heels of, Miss Harris, VP Harris, Kamala Harris, appearing with Beyonce in Houston, and the understanding that, for example, the third ward is, I think, the second largest, or Houston in general, I'm not sure or Harris County is what they were talking about, was the second largest African-American community in the United States, behind Cook County, Illinois. And from the outside looking in, you can see a lot of energy in Texas. You can see a lot of, everything that's been kind of the Governor Abbott scenario of the long arm of the wrong side of the law that's been baked into, let's just call it John Birch Society, and the millionaires turned billionaires this many decades later, that have had kind of like a, one of my favorite films going back to the day is The Longest Yard. And I remember The Corrupt Prison, and those of us who love football, and Burt Reynolds, and of course, everything that came with that wonderful show about football is character of the American sort of essence, right? But to kind of use that as to your audience, particularly, I think most of whom, I know you've got a huge national audience, but a lot of folks in Houston, particularly Houston, and particularly Texas writ large, is that Texas is the ultimate expression of the corporatocracy, and it has been for years. The financial, fossil fuel, military industrial complex, big agriculture, huge economy. In fact, I think the entire economy of Russia is smaller than the macro economy of Texas. And Texas has a huge influence, right? And so what we have known in Houston for going back to the 70s is that corporate influence runs the show, and it always has in the state of Texas. And, tax policy, you name it, this and that. But there was a marriage between the conservatives, those that wanted to blow up Roe, those that wanted to be in the evangelical, full-on Christo-nationalists, and that's what it's evolved into, state of affairs, that had always a lot of money and a lot of power and influence, and quite frankly, a lot of centrifugal force with a lot of very, very smart people at the higher echelons of that sort of construction. Anybody who's from Houston, again, understands the power of the corporate state
Patrick,
in the state of Texas.
Bring it to me. Bring the
Yeah.
discussion. I want you to bring the discussion here. Frame it this way, because I've watched all of your videos. And folks, what's the name of your video series again?
I appear on YouTube at Patrick Level Truth Bombs the Con.
All right. This is what I'm trying to get to my audience, and I'd like to do this in about 3 minutes. I'd like them to hear with the election of Donald Trump. Okay? With the election of Donald Trump, I know it's not a big change because the whole neoliberal stuff involved both Democrats and Republicans alike. But with the advent of Donald Trump, what is the difference that we are going to see because of the extraordinary lawlessness that he brings?
Oh my God, the outcome is exactly what I've been promulgating this entire time. First of all, the framing is corruption births and fuels fascism. And that's what it's done forever. And so when you have a hierarchy of big money players that have no regulation through the impetus of deregulation, desupervision, and decriminalization, what you create is a corporate fascist state. Donald Trump is the red carpet reflection of the corruption that has been at work for 4 decades, Egberto, that he has never been arrested for, held accountable for, run free to be a face as a scapegoat and a vessel to people who have no idea how the system works.
And let me stop you right there, because I think you made that's what I was to drive you to. He is the vessel that's going to be used. He went ahead and he brainwashed. Now, actually, it's the popular vote now. He brainwashed enough people so that, in effect, he believes, or not he believes, but the people who he represents a vessel for makes him that vessel, or makes him the conduit with a mandate to do as he pleases in the economic system. And what a lot of people believe now, Patrick, is that, as Putin said yesterday, it's going to be a new world order, because now he's going to blow up NATO. He's going to blow up all these other things, whether implicitly or explicitly. Continue, please.
Okay, you hit the nail on the head. And this goes to everything that I've been revealing and why people need to discover who I am and what I have. You can check that out at www.thecleannewdeal.org. You can also find me at Patrick Level Truth Bomb is the Con. And on Twitter especially, you can find me at Patrick Level 1. But to answer your question, here's the synergy, my friend. And it's been going on for a very long time. And this is why I was setting up the corporate fascist state that connected with the Christo-nationalism that has a lot of resources behind it in the state of Texas, particularly because it's been going back to the John Birch Society that came out of Jim Crow, that led to America First, and all of the things that came with it, okay? But going back to Trump's audaciousness, and this is what gets me the most, right? You brought up Putin. Donald Trump's an idiot. The guy is a 2-bit huckster who knows nothing about anything. The guy is pulled himself back to say, "Look, I'm going to hand over the reins of the presidency to Bobby Kennedy and to his chief of staff and whomever else. I'll just run the oil, okay? I'm going to be in charge of all the new oil leases and everything that the country's going to drill for." Why? Because the parallel of the whites. Christo-nationalist, white supremacy, globalism that we're talking about, that Alex Jones, your neighbor down the street in Austin, has been all about for I don't know how many years. And this is where Putin comes in. And I'll remind everybody that Russia's economy is smaller than the state of Texas. But what do they all have in common? Fossil fuel. What is the alignment here? the same alignment that's basically run the post World War II era for the last 70 years. There's no progress. There's who's got the resources. Okay. Putin's got a giant Russia that he can do whatever he wants with, and he wants to plow right through Ukraine with all the pipelines, and that's what that's been all about, to be able to have a monopoly on Western Europe. But where's the synergy through the religious theocracy, the white supremacism, are the billionaire funneled scenarios with our friend Elon Musk that completely pulled the final death knell in our democracy through this coup d'etat that our Department of Justice should have been able to bring down 2 years ago, Egberto.
And now under the control of Donald Trump, will do none of that. So it's a corporatocracy on steroids. Hey, look, I got to move on, Patrick, but I wanted to get your point of view and get a few of your words in there. So thank you so kindly for calling in, my brother, and we'll talk and we'll do a more substantive interview later, okay?
Outstanding. All my friends, if you're looking for an alternative to this fascist system that we've all been dealt with, because the American people chose to, with their democratic freedom, that's what they want. If you can't stomach that, you want to join a force requisite to force the truth into the darkness of these lies and falsifications and fraud and fabrications that we all have to overcome. Patrick Level 1 at Twitter. Check me out. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one. Take care. All right, folks, I want to address my brother E2247, okay? And E2247, I want to tell you this with respect. I'm trying to get to the piece here where you actually called me out, because I want to be called out, but I also want to explain what we do and what is some of the problems with us as progressives, which we better get over quickly, because we have to have a unified front at home before we can solve any problems abroad. Okay? And I'm trying to find exactly where you start, my brother. Let's see. Bear with me as I search okay. You said, of course. I think I think what you want to start hitting me up for is this. I'm going to read your first, and then I'll continue moving thereafter. It says, stop defending the wrongness of the Democrats who ran for the elite and really did leave out the middle class who installed the previous Democratic presidencies. I am not going to argue with that, because you're correct. All right. But we have what we have, and we have to move forward. Then you say, my brother, of course it wasn't. And I imagine this is because of the defense that I gave of not electing Trump. It says, of course, it wasn't because of the months of gaslighting voters into believing that Harris was suddenly a serious candidate after 3 years of being a punchline. Again, to me, that sounds, and I could be wrong, but to me that sounds rather sexist. Why would you consider her a punchline? Did you consider any other Democratic vice president male a punchline or something of that nature? Yes, many times she was used as a punchline, but the reason she was used as a punchline is because she's a woman. Let's be clear here. Moving on. Of course, it wasn't because of a canceled primary that didn't give the base a choice. A canceled primary, there was some logistic reasons, first of all. And secondly, the one difference here is that she was voted in with Mr. Biden. But let's go a bit further. The logistic reasons are that while she can spend the over $250 million that was collected under the Biden-Harris ticket, if we had a convention and then had to raise money and had to create a new infrastructure, that would have been unattainable. Okay? So that is the answer to that. No, don't let right-wing methodologies or right-wing talking points get involved here. Okay? Of course, it wasn't because of Dems funding genocide, ditching universal health care, promoting fracking, not codifying Roe v. Wade, or increasing the number of kids in cages at the border. Now, please tell me, you become the vice president. How do you, my dear brother E2247, execute that, having a Joe Manchin, having a cinema, and having a Torres in the Congress that's going to do it? You know how you get those things done? You get that done by progressive busting their butts and making sure to get Torres out of there in the House and put in a progressive in there. It means getting rid of cinema and putting a progressive in there. You cannot do things. We can want all these things, but let me also tell you, and this may sound coy or terrible, but you are concerned about fracking. You are concerned about Roe v. Wade and all these other issues. Guess what? Because I've done it. A lot of Democratic people out there don't give a damn about fracking. They don't give a damn about these things until you make it an issue. We have to learn how to make our issues. That is what Trump did. Trump made his issues based on lies. That's what my piece was there telling you. In fact, there's a blog that goes with the video that I gave there. Trump knows how to make issues based on lies, but he turned it into issues that people feel a carnal responsibility to solve. I'm going to pause right there because I just saw just before the show started, and I recorded it, but I didn't have time to process it. There's this Latino family. The son, first generation American, the son. He voted for Trump. This is a young guy. He voted for Trump. His father, who is an immigrant, voted for Kamala Harris. The mother voted, I think, for Trump. All right. But here's the funny part about it. Remember, these are people that should be thinking logically. They crossed the border. But let's expand what happened here. The father said even though he voted for Kamala, he's not upset that Trump won because, after all, he thinks Trump is going to be doing good for the economy. Notwithstanding, of course, you and I know that Trump's economy wasn't really any good, and that also he tanked the economy that Biden had to somehow fix up. Yeah, we didn't get all those things that we wanted. We cannot get them until we get progressives installed. But let's wait a second. Let me give you the funny part of that story that I'm telling you. The father is from Mexico. The mother is from Guatemala. And both of them crossed the border illegally. But they are supporting Trump, who, given that they came over here initially illegally, because of what Jason Miller is saying now, they could actually revoke their citizenship, and they just may. This is a psychology that Trump has instituted into the minds of Latinos and many others, but specifically Latinos. Now they ask, but wait a minute, you came over here illegally, you crossed the border illegally. Why are you so hard on those that are crossing the border illegally? You know what their answer was? Because those that are crossing the border illegally are criminals. Right out of the programming from Donald Trump. You wake up every morning and you see people coming over the border. And now that you are here sitting down in your air-conditioned, nice home, after you become the manager of a restaurant and other things, and you are looking at people who came here the same way you came for an opportunity, and you are calling them criminals. Do you see, my brother E2247, the headwinds that we have? We cannot afford to be fighting among each other. We cannot afford to be purist. Our brothers and sisters are dying in Palestine. Yes, they are. But if we can't get our house in order, there's no way we're going to stop those bombs coming from the defense industrial complex from landing out there. And to say, well, if Kamala had said those things, that it would have made a difference. If Kamala said those things, she would have been out of the race long before, because AIPAC would have killed her. And I'm talking metaphorically, of course. So, my brother, I wanted to mention this to you because I respect you. And I wanted to point this out because this ain't easy. And having a super progressive like me, understanding pragmatism, where pragmatism must occur as a leader in the movement, I have to be wide open and we have to stick together. We cannot afford infighting. We cannot afford those particular issues. Michael Rudnin has something for the screen. Let me go ahead and put it onto the screen, see what it is. Bear with me, Rudnin. I'm putting it on the screen right now. I don't know what it is, but it came from you, so I know I can justify putting it there. All right, what is that, Rudnin? Let's see, million population. I don't know what that is. Maybe you should, let's see what it says. Egberto Willies, screen for Mike C. 1980, 2016, 20, deviated from the trend where Democratic votes increased according to population increases. Okay, I see what you're saying now. So you're saying now, where is 2024? I don't see 2024 in your list, of course. I see 2020, I see 2016. But anyway, extrapolated, I think it's easy to see that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Jay, sadly, we can't leave it all to the misinformed. Oh, I didn't get it on the screen, did I? There we go. Come on, get to the screen. There you go. There it is on the screen. All right, Lee Grant says Trump was onto something when he called the MSM fake news, but not for the right reasons, though. Let's see. I don't know about your emails, Carl Cox. Probably are you sending it to k50@politicsandright.com? All right. By the way, let's see. E224 says ill-informed includes PDR saying daily for 12 weeks, Kamala is going to win. Actually, I was wrong. And you know what's the thing about me? I don't have a problem, E2247, admitting that I was wrong. I don't. I was looking at it through colored glasses. I was wrong. Okay? But as my brother Patrick tells me, I don't need to apologize because he's going to slap me if I do. All right, let's see what else. Patrick, you may want to call and say hi. All right, let's see what else we got here. I'm talking about Patrick Meager now. Let's see what we're talking about here now. Let's see. I'm scrolling down. Patrick, how you doing, brother?
About me,
turn it down. Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, hold on.
All right, let's see what we got here. I'm scrolling down and reading your messages, folks. I'm reading your messages. All right. By the way, look here. Mike Cisak, I normally wouldn't respond to a silly comment like that. People can't stand the fascist left. You can't be fascist if you're on the left, sir. It doesn't compute. Can't you figure that one out yet? You can't be fascist. It is like when Donald Trump goes out and said, she's a fascist, she's a communist, she's a socialist. It's like, now I know you don't have much upstairs. You can't be all those things. Those things are mutually exclusive. Fascist and communist, mutually exclusive. Fascist, socialist, mutually exclusive. Go ahead, Patrick.
Kind of calling out of some of the comments from E2247.
Yes.
I didn't see anything that without talking to people. From what I saw on news on traditional media, there really wasn't any reason to expect her not to win. I didn't see it, and to call the encouraging that you did gaslighting, it seems very, very off. Everybody seems to be taking their turn at trying to decide what went wrong when it was the voters. I mean, what number of people do we think, and this is speculation, but what number of people do you think stayed at home because they thought she had it in the bag?
Exactly.
I had no idea that many people, not that many people did vote for him, but as many people did because of what his past is like. I know that we have a short attention span or memory, but this was just 4 years ago.
Well, you know what is so funny, Patrick? Yeah, Patrick, let me, and these are numbers. I'm glad you brought that up. Trump got 3 million votes less than he got last time he ran. And the Democrats got near 13 or 14 million votes less. Now, that is the election right there. That is the election right there. So, and you're right. There was nothing that would give you the impression that she would lose. And again, if you were to do a poll of everybody, forget about the voting or not voting, she would win. But again, that's not what win elections. Votes win elections. And Donald Trump brought out enough votes. And by the way, there's another thing I'm going to be doing on the misfits. I think I kind of talked about it yesterday. There's a whole lot of groups of men that are having problems, and some of them are characterized as misfits in these different rads and chat groups, etc. And you know who knew all about them? The biggest misfit of them all, Elon Musk. And they went into these areas and they brought all these people out, and you could see them at the voting booth. So there's a whole lot that went on here that's not being spoken about. And the thing about it is, Elon, they were smart. Don't get me wrong. They wanted to win the election, and they did what they did to maximize their vote. Had we done, Patrick, what we needed to do to maximize the vote, we would have won. Let me give a good example. I think you were there this morning when I was talking about the way that they spend their money. Kamala had $1.something billion to spend. And instead of parsing that money out to the people that are closest to the people, you could have thrown a whole of that $1.2 billion, instead of paying it to these big high priced consultants, throw it into Philadelphia bloggers. Throw it in. When I say bloggers, I don't only mean bloggers. I mean bloggers and community organizers. And, our brother here, Ray. Ray goes out and he works his butt off bringing votes in. Imagine if Ray was paid well enough so that he could have a few people with him working to do some other stuff and some other work, Patrick. But again, that's how it rolls. And that is what we need to fix. And my thing is we as progressives, we are going to have to say, screw the Democratic Party and go ahead and do this ourselves. Go ahead, brother.
I was going to say I'd help Ray out. The consultants were a problem for sure. What I saw with Kamala, and when I called your program a couple of times excited, was the Kamala that was ready to do something about fracking, the one that was ready to do something about homelessness, the one that was going to help us out with housing. And what she did was, instead of sticking with that and sticking with the people that understood what she wanted to do, she brought in Liz Cheney.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, Republicans are never, ever, ever, ever going to side with a Democrat, because that's not how they're going to hold power. I didn't like Nancy Pelosi, but what she got right more than anything else, what Obama got wrong, was Obama tried to work with him. Nancy Pelosi understood that there is no negotiation, there's no working with a Republican, and when Obama tried to do it, it just led to sabotage every time.
Exactly.
There is no getting somebody that is far right on our side to win. They don't want what we want.
I am absolutely with you. Let me tell you, like I said, what we have to do now, Patrick, is has to be fully grassroots. I want to put this stuff up that Bridget NPP just sent me. She said, she's not the one with 7 corporate bankruptcies, a failed airline, a failed magazine, a failed scam university, 3 failed casinos, a failed pandemic response, the worst jobs record of any U.S. president, 2 impeachments and 34 criminal records. But okay, that came from Robert Reich. And that is what
is so hurtful, right, Patrick? Because you can come with the best record, and the American people decided that they preferred the criminal over somebody with character. That hurts.
Well, I'll argue that.
Yeah,
I'll
but
argue
anyhow,
that I'd say that's not 100% correct. It's not that. It's the American people again. The folks that showed up hate people. The drive for hate was stronger than the drive to help.
There you go. I don't know, how is that in conflict with what I said, my brother?
Well, because you seem to think that there is a cooperation, and you seem to think that they were misinformed. No.
Oh, I see what you did. Well,
they didn't hate.
No. Actually, I think. Let me see how to put this, and then I gotta get to Ray. Ray wants to come in next.
Yes, sir.
I want to say this, Patrick. Patrick, I want to say this, and this is where you and I may differ. I want to put more faith into people, and if I have to hammer it into, I could be wrong, but I just don't want to give up on the rank and file, because I think the rank and file was made that way. But if I'm wrong in that, right? But anyway, hey Patrick, let's talk on Monday, brother.
Sounds good. Tell Ray I said hello.
All right, no problem. Ray, you can call in now, brother. All right, but folks, we have to stay the course. When I say stay the course, I'm talking about progressives. We have got to stay the course. We have got to stay the course. Ray, the number is 281-823-7747. You can call us in now if you'd like to, my dear brother. All right, Bree says no, they preferred a man over a woman. That too. I mean, I think. By the way, I spoke to Don Lemon today. Let's see. There we go. All right, there you go, Ray. Talk to me.
Yes, brother. You know what? I just want to give a shout out to Brother Patrick. Thank you again, and I will definitely will tap you if we need another canvas. But I was fortunate. Maybe we did get some of that Kamala Harris money down here in Texas, which is why we were able to put in so much work over the last 100 so days when she was tapped for the nomination. Now, what I noticed here, I've been going over some numbers, and my mother, rest her soul, could tell you I hated math when I was a child, but I can see numbers, and I can see when they get bigger and smaller. And one thing I have to acknowledge, and this is a hard pill to swallow, from 2008 to present time, the Democratic electorate had stayed steady where it was. It has not grown, unfortunately. And the ideals as well that go with that electorate are not growing. So in other words, what I'm saying is we were lucky in 2020 because we were able to activate the non-voting party, which I call them, because there was so much chaos and so much, going on under the first Trump era, and that activated them. But the core base of the Democratic Party, the progressives that feel about things like transgender rights and, higher wages and things like that, and health care for everybody. I mean, those ideals are only being held within this small electorate, which I estimate at about 62 million. That's where we top off. And then we would have to depend on the non-voters to pull us over the hump. But the thing is that Trump did, like you said, and I'm going to let you jump in real quick because I know we at the end. The thing is, Trump has tapped into the one thing that, we haven't. Our love and our compassion at 62 million is just not able at this time to outnumber the hate of the 71 or so, 72 million, however many votes that Trump got. And until we can activate enough people and pull them in for the long run, and I'm gonna leave with this. The thing that's difference between us and between the Republicans is in 2008 when McCain lost, they kept voting. In 2012, when Romney lost, they kept voting. And in 2016, when Hillary lost, they kept voting. And in 2020, when Trump lost, they kept voting. They're relentless. And that's what we need. We need to pull more people into that base that by no means necessary, we're going to keep voting, win or loss.
And that is, I think, in a lot of ways, that's where E2247 is coming from. I'm not talking about, but I'm talking about people have to have something to vote for. When he looks and he says about Obama's 3 mansions, about Clinton, I mean, he's right. He's right. But where I'm trying to get progressives is that, we can't look for the purity right now. We have to look for we have to work. We use whatever we can for the ultimate goal, right? And as we do that, we bring on more people. And you're right about the stagnation of the Democratic. Actually, both parties are stagnating. It's just that the Republican Party has an appendage called MAGA, and that is great. We need to make our progressive party the appendage. In other words, you need a major party, like for now at least, you need a major party like the Democrats to be your path, if you will. But we need to make the progressives the MAGA of the left. Right. And I think that is what this next 2 years we ought to do. And in the primaries for all of these positions coming in 2 years, we need to no holds barred. They failed. Ocasio-Cortez won big. Rashida Tlaib won big. Ilhan Omar won big. They weren't running away from progressive values. Torres in New York is a turncoat. OK, we have to remember what we need to bring into the fold. But I got to go, Ray, because we are a minute over and I need to do my little quick pitch. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. One last thing. Sean Tier, one in Harris County on progressive values. That's it.
There you go. Thank you, brother. You have a great weekend. Hey, wait, don't forget Sunday.
Yes, I won't forget, sir.
I'll
be trying to see you there.
Peace, brother. All right. Anyway, folks, let me tell you guys, I appreciate you all being here. Love you all. Please support the program however you can. What I'm asking for right now is that those of you who have the wherewithal to do so, please become paid subscribers of our program, or rather paid subscribers of our newsletter. With that, you get access to all of my books. How do you do that? Go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. I got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.